see you're reading about me.
Yeah, I am. To be honest, you don't really come out great in this. You're a little mean.
I can't believe you'd say something like that to me.
How dare you say something like that to her?
I'm traumatized.
I swear, women, they have to be perfect and nice all the time for people to understand them. You just don't like that her trauma isn't palatable to you.
What she said.
She's mean because of her trauma. Don't you get it?
I understand trauma. I do. Trauma does affect a lot of things.
She's traumatized. No one hates her more than she hates herself.
I hate myself so much.
How can you hold that against her? She's hurting.
I just think that being traumatized doesn't mean you can treat people badly.
You just don't understand morally complex characters, okay?
No, I understand complex characters. I do. I just don't think that being cruel to people counts as complexity.
Women just can't win. They just have to have trauma that is palatable.
I don't hate women.
Just tell me that you have never been through anything.
Just
tell me you don't have trauma without telling me you don't have trauma. Bring back complex characters. Complex characters.
I fear I'm going to make a lot of people mad with this video.
One of the more popular buzzwords in today's culture is complex and nuanced characters. A lot of authors and screenwriters have made an effort to create characters that don't fit into a specific black and white archetype. There's not an entirely perfect, good protagonist, nor an entirely bad and evil antagonist. That's a good thing, because I think that is realistic for the way that we navigate throughout the world. Nobody is 100% good or 100% bad. We all have aspects of goodness and badness in all of us. Those are good things. We should write realistic characters because we learn from these characters. We see ourselves in them. Those are all good things. So what does it actually mean for a character to be complex? I think the word has been so overused at this point that it has basically become meaningless, or it is a shield against criticism of the character. But the thing is that complexity is not just somebody who has a sad backstory or trauma or something like that. Genuine complexity is more than that. A complex character can have trauma. That's important, but trauma doesn't just make a character complex. A complex character lives with a lot of internal contradiction, as in their thoughts and actions do not line up. So like a character whose wants don't align with each other, or they act against maybe their own personal values, and then they have to deal with the fallout of that, and we get to be in their mind as they have to reckon with the fact that they have acted in direct contradiction to their personal beliefs. So for them also to have this complexity, there has to be some sort of consequences to their actions. There has to be some sort of moral weight to when they do something that is not good. So if a character lashes out at somebody that they love, they then have to reckon with the fact that they lashed out to that person, and then ideally they commit to do better. But the thing is, just committing to do better doesn't just make somebody complex. They could also choose to not do better. They could choose to stay stagnant, but they're not rewarded for that stagnancy. In fact, they have to deal with the consequences of not growing, of not changing. We're supposed to see the cost of somebody's actions because unfortunately we are responsible for our actions. It doesn't matter if we had good intentions. It doesn't matter if we had bad intentions. The way that we act affects people. The way that we say things affects people. As I was finishing up the Archeron series and got to A Court of Silver Flames, I just left reading a little bit disappointed because I felt like I was waiting for this big character redemption for Nesta, like people have said, because I have heard that people hated Nesta in the first 3, if you count A Court of Frost and Starlight, 4 books, they've hated Nesta. And then once they read Silver Flames, they loved her because they understood where she was coming from. And I actually hated Nessa more the longer I read Silver Flames, because I just felt like all of her bad behavior was justified by SJM, and then I felt like people who were fans of Nesta were completely okay with her treating people badly because she was traumatized. And I have a problem with that. I felt like I was supposed to be okay with everything that she has done in the past just because she's been through trauma. It is good that we are open about mental health. That is a good thing. I want to make that clear. And it is good that we have a deeper understanding now of trauma and its effects on our behavior and all of those things. Those are good things. But the thing that I have noticed is we have become too afraid to condemn bad behavior because we are trying to be empathetic of somebody's trauma. And I don't think that being traumatized means it's okay to treat people badly. And I know, if you decided to watch this video, I know you're probably ready to go like, well, like if we're talking about Nesta, I know that you are ready to tell me that Nessa didn't even really treat people that badly, like she should have been meaner, or, well, Nessa was that way, but she grew and she changed. And I guess I just don't see it that way, because when I think of somebody growing and changing, I don't just think of it as in they're able to go like, I guess I'll be better next time. I think of it in the sense of you have to make things right. You can't just be like, won't do that again with this next person. No, you should actually apologize. And Nesta never did that. And that's what bothered me. And that's what made it difficult for me to empathize or understand any of her character arc, because she didn't really have a character arc. She recognizes that the way that she's acting is wrong, but she never really tries to do anything about it. That's not a redemption arc. Realizing that you've done something wrong doesn't mean that all of a sudden you are perfectly set to make things right. It just feels like when a cruel character is given this type of redemption arc, where they just all of a sudden maybe slightly stop doing what they are doing, and then everyone else falls into line around them, and they really don't face any consequences for their actions, I think it places a very, very harmful idea into the reader's mind, especially if they are at a younger age and at a very formative place in their life. And maybe this is me taking it too far, but what I fear is that we are teaching people who are reading these stories, men and women, that the person that they're involved with, whether it's a friend or a romantic partner, that, hey, they can treat you badly, but you just have to understand where they're coming from, and then it'll be okay. Or they'll eventually stop. That concerns me, because I think that is going to get us in some really bad situations. And it starts with books like this being written, where we are being forced to empathize with a character who has been cruel for most of the series, but then is only slightly less cruel. And we're supposed to admire this character development. We're supposed to admire this redemption arc. And I just don't think that's the lesson we should be taking from this. But what I fear has happened in the rise of creating complex and nuanced characters is I fear that there has also been a death in acceptance of good faith critiques of said characters, particularly in these female characters that are complex and nuanced. And I can understand that part of the reaction is through the fact that for a lot of time, many female characters in media were portrayed very one-dimensionally. Like they were either the love interest or the hot girl. They never really had any depth to them. So in our desire to create three-dimensional female characters, I fear that we have been so afraid of criticizing a three-dimensional character. Because here's the thing, a female character can be three-dimensional and also be a bad person. And that doesn't mean that I don't understand complexity. That doesn't mean that I don't understand trauma or nuance. And it doesn't mean that I hate women. It means that I can look at all of those things. I can look at their trauma. I can look at their reactions to things, and I can still say, that's not okay. And that is not a good way to treat people, no matter how traumatized you are. And the thing is, all of us have something that has happened to us that has negatively affected us, that has altered our brain chemistry in some way. And if that hasn't happened to you, I'm very happy for you that you have never been through an experience that has fundamentally changed the way that you view the world. But the thing that we are called to do isn't to lose ourselves in our trauma that we are unable to see outside of that lens. And I think Nessa Archeron is the perfect example of somebody who actively hurts people and wants to. If I were to say, hey, I don't like Nesta, I can understand where she's coming from. I get that she has trauma. That sucks. But she still treated people very badly, and I don't think that she has shown enough remorse and accountability for the way that she acted. And I think that just doesn't make the way that she acted enough for me to like her as a character. I'm immediately met with, well, you just don't understand complex female characters, or, well, her trauma just isn't palatable to you. I think that this kind of intellectual superiority, this response to legitimate, even good faith criticism, it stops the conversation before it even starts. I'm not here to say that having a traumatized character immediately means they're a bad person. That's not what I'm saying at all. Or that their reactions to things because of their trauma are always bad. And that maybe a not so great trauma response means that that person is a bad person. Or that fiction should only have people who are behaving well. That's not what I am saying at all. What I am saying is that there is a distinct difference between explaining behavior and excusing it. I think that in today's culture, we think that explanation is enough. And I feel like our cultural conversation around trauma and complex characters has blurred the lines between an explanation and an excuse. As somebody who has been in therapy, part of the therapeutic approach when processing your trauma is understanding where your trauma came from. Then the next part is working on changing your behaviors associated with that trauma. So it's all about unlearning the ways that your brain has put itself in survival mode due to that trauma and doing better. I remember my therapist said that you are not responsible for your trauma, but you are responsible for your healing. And part of healing is taking accountability for the way that your trauma has affected your actions and in turn has affected your relationships with other people and yourself. Just because someone has trauma and we understand where it came from and even we're in their perspective, that does not mean that we are no longer allowed to criticize them. But I fear that we have become understanding to the point that we are unable to hold any moral ground. We are unable to actually hold people accountable for bad behavior because we are so afraid of seeming unempathetic, or we are so afraid of not having an understanding of what trauma makes people do. Things can be understandable, but not justifiable. I can understand the way that this character processes things and reacts to things based on their trauma, but I can still say, hey, that was wrong. They shouldn't have done that. And that does not mean I am not understanding of their trauma. That does not mean that I don't appreciate complex characters. That's the complexity. The complexity is being able to hold these two things that are in contradiction with each other and still either appreciate the character. If I am made to dislike the character, that's part of complexity. Sometimes a mean character is just mean. That does not mean they're complex. It just means maybe they're a bad person, and that's okay. So I hope that this mini rant of mine makes some sort of sense. I am not going to act like I am the most well-versed in trauma therapy or even how to write a good character. I just know the things that I have read and the things that have stuck with me and the things that haven't. And I can say that I don't like Nesta. I don't. And that should be an okay position to hold. If you've made it to the end, comment down below whether you agree with me, if you disagree with me, and tell me why. I hope you enjoyed this video. I don't know, I feel like all my videos are kind of where I'm just saying things. Yeah, I have a lot of opinions on a lot of things, but sometimes I just don't know how to put them into words. So I hope that this made sense. So if you like this type of video, subscribe, and I'll come up with another. I hope you know how loved you are, and God loves you. Bye.